I'll turn off my camera then so people don't have to watch me make faces while I edit my PowerPoint.
Do you know
Oops.
what's the expected number turnout?
We had 134 register, so I suspect 40 will show up.
Yeah.
But because it's virtual, some people might pop in and out. So we
Yeah.
can start in a couple minutes, and then anybody who misses it, will make sure that they get the recording of it.
Cool.
Yeah, whenever everybody's ready, we can get going.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Logan, you're up first. Are you ready to be up first?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Well, I can do the introduction and then, yeah, and then it will be over to you, Logan. So
Thank
Hannah,
you.
let me know when I should start. Are others in the room now?
Yeah, we have participants here and they're ready to go.
Okay, welcome everyone. I am Shamara Beta Bonzo. I'm president of BIPOC Business and Professional Network based in PEI. PEI is a traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, and this is our first session during October, which is Mi'kmaq History Month. This is session 2 in the 5-part series titled Opikiwin Plus, and we have a 5 workshops focused on different areas of financial literacy. So I'm joining you from PEI, and I know many of you are from other parts of Atlantic Canada. And just wanted to point out a little bit of knowledge or history is that Atlantic Canada has traditionally been the territory of the Mi'kmaq, and Mi'kmaq and their ancestors have occupied this territory, lived on this territory for many years, and continue to live on this territory. And with that, I will pivot and do some introductions. I will start with our friends from Face Coalition. We have Hannah Jackson here, and Hannah is helping with questions in the chat. We also have Rodney Tembo, who will be giving the presentation on behalf of Face. And then from Futurepreneur, we have Logan Daou, who's joining us from, I believe, Montreal or Quebec. And so, Logan, I will hand it over to you. Logan will be starting tonight's presentation.
Thank you. I'm just gonna ask Hannah if you can share access to sharing my screen. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Try now.
Yes, it works now.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay. Oh, I think I may be sharing the wrong screen. Do you see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, but there's two. You're good. It's perfect. Looks beautiful.
Okay, sounds good. So hi everyone. Yeah, I am Logan Doe, bilingual business development manager at Futurepreneur's Indigenous Entrepreneur Startup Program. I'm located in Val-des-Monts, Quebec, so not too far outside of Montreal. Um, yeah, what Futurepreneur does is we offer up to $75,000 in loan for startup businesses, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But today we're going to be presenting OPQN, Journey to Financial Empowerment. So if you were joining us 2 weeks ago, we did the winter workshop, and now we're going to be working into the spring workshop, teaching about reflection and foundations. Oh, okay. Well, I skipped my intro slide, but that's all good. So it's going to be 5 different modules. We're going to be touching on post-colonial indigenous economies, credit as an environment, borrowing and interest rates, types of debts and solutions for paying them, as well as taxes and the benefits of taxes. The spring workshop is traditionally a time for balance and planning in Indigenous communities. This workshop will live in the East Quadrant of the medicine wheel. In this workshop, participants will continue to build a positive relationship with money by reimagining the concept of credit into Indigenous ways of being, linked to environment, stewardship, balance, and truth. The goal for this workshop is for participants to leave with a renewed vision of credit, health, and understanding, inspired by the Eagle's perspective. We will transform how we perceive and interact with credit, integrating financial knowledge with the values and teachings that we have guided Indigenous communities for generations. So getting into the post-colonial Indigenous economies. Oh, I also want to add, we might have missed it, but if you have any questions at all, feel free to put it in the chat and we'll be able to answer them at the end. So Indigenous economies, Indigenous economic history and relations in Canada. So as the colonizers settled in their new land, they became to dominate the economies, and slowly but surely, traditional Indigenous ways of life were altered. One of the ways that it was altered was through the creation of a new distinct Indigenous nation. So this being the Métis Nation, as well as the Indian Act. So the Indian Act, as you probably all know, was developed in 1876. It was a forced dependency, economic exploitation, and oppression of Indigenous peoples. And the Indian Act still governs the relationships between Indigenous peoples and the Canadian government today. We do have a bear moment. So put it in the chat and we'll get to it later. But just reflect on economic resilience and identifying modern examples of Indigenous entrepreneurship. So if you are aware of what the Indian Act is, think about how those systems that were put into place by the federal government affect Indigenous economies today. And if you are not sure of what the Indian Act is, I encourage you to research it and find out what it is and how it affects people today. Moving on to credit as an environment. So there are some fundamental laws of money. So we have to take care of the environment and take care of our credit, because our personal credit is our financial environment. Some ways that you could do this is by not spending more than you make, not going into debt to impress others, or buying depreciating assets. Also, by actively investing and tracking your net worth. Assess your money habits, so looking for good and bad habits. Look for expenses that can be cut. Think about your needs versus your wants, as well as budgeting your money before you get paid. So planning ahead to give you a realistic picture of the money that you have available. Also, next time that you are thinking about spending money on something that you're not sure quite yet if it's worth spending on, ask yourself 4 questions. Is it necessary for you or your family? Is it vital for something else? Can it wait a little bit before you have to buy it? And are there any acceptable alternatives to that? Continuing. So don't buy depreciating assets unless it is an investment. So the most common types of depreciable assets will include vehicles and buildings, office equipment or furniture, computers and other electronics, machinery and equipment. Of course, there are always exceptions to these. So unless it is an investment, if you are purchasing these with the goal of making money in return from these, such as if you are purchasing them to run a business, then that would be considered an investment. Now, tips to pay debts responsibly. So make a detailed list of all your amounts owed, personally or otherwise. Find out when your payments are due and how much you want to pay towards them. So whether that's the minimum payment or the full balance, partial balance, as well as making a schedule for your payments. Display it somewhere open that you will be able to see it readily and easily. So whether that's on the fridge or a note on your phone, your desk calendar, just keeping it in front of mind is important, as well as setting up automated payments whenever is possible on your mobile device, or you could also do it manually as well. So whether you're putting money aside in a cash envelope or doing it via e-transfer. Also signing up for reminders, whether that's via text or email with your credit providers. If you're going to miss or be late for a payment, however, make sure you contact your creditor, so your bank, in order to maintain that relationship and just let them know what the situation is. And most often they'll be a little bit more lenient with you. So I will share a resource that we have towards the end of the webinar. It's a workbook. So all of the things that are being shared in the slide today, you'll have access to it. Plus there'll be little activities that you can fill out on your own time. One of them is going to be tracking your net worth. So it's investing and tracking in your net worth. So the combination of what you own, consider your assets, and what you owe, your liabilities, will make up your personal net worth. Knowing your net worth is important because it lets you understand your current financial situation, as well as it gives you a reference point for measuring progress towards your goals. While doing this, you'll have to compile your list of assets, so what you own, your list of liabilities, what you owe, and then you'll subtract your liabilities from your assets to determine what your personal net worth is. Bringing it all together. So when we pick our medicines, we only pick what we need personally and offer tobacco and leave enough there for it to be replenished and grow for the next time. We need to look at the value of money in the same way. Respecting that relationship with money can provide you with what you need now and in the future. Moving on to interest rates and types of debt. So again, take from the earth what is needed and nothing more. Good debt is an investment in something that creates value or produces more wealth or security in the long run. So we talked about this a little bit earlier. When buying something from your business that you will be making money from, this is a good debt because it is an investment and you will be making your money back on this. So examples of this is a loan for a home renovation, which may increase your home's value, or a student loan that it's going to help you get a job with a higher income. Whereas bad debt is borrowing money to buy something that goes down in value or that you can't repay on time or in full, which is then going to be incurring interest charges and more debt, just making your situation even worse. So examples of this is going into debt for a vacation that you want to take, or buying an expensive dinner with your credit card while knowing you can't repay it by the end of the billing period. There are 4 types of credit or borrowing options. So the first one is secured. Secured is when you put a deposit towards it, and then whatever you are borrowing is going to have that security. So if for whatever reason you can't remake that payment at the end of the month, it won't affect your credit score as much. Whereas unsecured is when you don't put that down that deposit. So all the money that you're borrowing is coming directly from the lender. And then revolving is like a credit card or line of credit. So you have that line of credit open for an undetermined amount of time. So if you open a credit card, it's open for as long as you want it to be open, or if the bank closes it at that time. But you can borrow money on a month-by-month basis and repay it, and then that'll always be available for you. Whereas non-revolving, such as an auto loan, you borrow that loan, and then once it's repaid off, then that line is closed. Now for types of interest, we have simple interest rates, which are when the principal is calculated once with the amount of interest. So you calculate, let's say we have a $1,000 loan with a 5% annual interest rate for 3 years. Well, that 5% is calculated 5% per year, so times three, that comes out to $58 in interest per year, which will bring your total interest up to 150. So your total amount that you'll be repaying is 1,150. Whereas compound interest rates is when the interest rate is calculated on a monthly basis. So that 5% would be divided by 12 and then recalculated based off of what you owe at that given time. There are some factors that may affect what the interest rate is that you'll be paying. So it could be the money supply, the rate of inflation, the length of time the funds will be borrowed, and the Bank of Canada's monetary policy. So the Bank of Canada's main role is to set the bank rate, which is the rate of interest it charges major financial institutions when they borrow money. While the Bank of Canada rate does influence the pricing of very short-term commercial credit, it does not set the interest rates that consumers receive on their deposit or pay on their loans. So for example, if one of the big five banks, I'll use RBC, for example, borrows from the Bank of Canada, what RBC is paying in interest is not necessarily what you as a consumer would be paying for interest. Now for prime rates, it's an interest rate set by large Canadian financial institutions. So the CFI rates are based on the Bank of Canada's overnight or policy interest rates that we were talking about previously. In other words, if the Bank of Canada's benchmark overnight rate increases, it costs financial institutions more to borrow and lend funds. And this will also change the rate at which they lend to you. And this is important because the prime rate serves as the basis for the interest rate that lenders will calculate and charge for certain loans, such as variable rate mortgages, car loans, home equity lines of credit, and unsecured lines of credit. So in many cases, you won't pay the actual prime rate on your loan. Financial institutions will typically offer rates in return of the prime rate, plus or minus a certain percentage. So we have another bare moments. I'll read through it, but feel free to add it to the chats. So reflect on how changes in the prime rate can affect your financial decisions and strategies. Consider how an understanding of the prime rate's impact on different types of financial products can give your choices in borrowing and managing debt. This reflection is about applying the foresight and adaptability symbolized by the eagle to navigate the ever-changing financial landscape. So we have a success story here by Lauren Bless. He does clothing situated in northern Alberta. And one thing that he provided a quote here for was that sticking to your budget is huge. Lauren says, I wish I learned how to budget earlier. Learning about budgets, stay within your budget, have a rainy day fund because you never know when you'll need it. Don't be scared to talk to someone about your personal finances. What your immediate family knows might not be everything that you need to know. Don't be afraid to reach out to someone. Ask for help. So I don't think we have time for that 5-minute break. I will keep going. Types of debts and solutions. So we have fixed rate loans. So the benefit of fixed rate loans is stability and predictability. So a fixed rate loan maintains the same interest rate throughout the borrowing period, offering predictable payments, regardless of what the interest rate is, regardless of what the prime rate is, which does fluctuate. Whatever the fixed interest rate is that you agree to at the time that you take out that loan, it will maintain that same interest rate for the period that you agreed to. We also have variable rate loans, which is the opposite of that. So it's a fluctuating interest rate. And these loans have interest rates that change over time based on the prime rate. While monthly payments may remain the same, the proportion of interest versus principal can vary, affecting how quickly the loan balance will be paid off. So what determines loans' interest rates? Well, personal and business loans The interest rate varies based on credit score, income, what debts you have, any collateral that you can offer, the loan amount that you are looking to receive, and the term. So the term is being how long you agree to the repayment of that, and the type of interest rate as well. So banks, credit unions, and online lenders offer different rates for fixed and variable loans. Other lenders, we also have payday and cash money loans, so quick cash services, which are offered in most provinces in amounts between $1,000, sometimes up to $15,000. The rate is usually between 29.9% and 46.9%, and loan repayment terms can range from 12 to 16 months. These are very high interest loans, and I don't ever recommend that anyone takes these. This should always be the last option. We also have high interest short-term loans, so known for high interest rates. For example, a $6,000 loan from a cash money lender can end up costing you upwards of $11,000 or more in total, which is significantly more than the borrowed amount. So understanding the true cost of loans, reflect on the different types of loans and their implications. Consider how understanding the true cost of borrowing, especially from high interest lenders, can influence your financial decisions. So while it may seem obvious that high interest loans means that you will be paying more in the long run if you have no other choice, make sure that you consider how much you'll be paying in the end. If you would have known before getting this loan that you'll be paying almost double by the end of the term, would you have still done it? And then when debt becomes unmanageable, so we are providing some solutions for managing these debts. So one of the options is debt consolidation. So this is when you combine multiple debts into a single loan with a fixed interest rate. So rather than having a, let's say, credit card with a 30% interest rate, or a when you're borrowing money from a quick cash service at upwards of 46%, and then you have a car loan at 8%. Well, if you're able to consolidate these and get a 10 to 12% interest rate on all of your debts combined, while you may be paying a little bit more for your car loan, when looking at the bigger picture of all your debts combined, you would be saving money. You'll also have consumer proposals. So this is a formal process for paying back creditors a percentage of what is owed, or extending a payment time. And then lastly, there's also personal bankruptcy, which is a legal process for debt relief, discharging debts at the end of the bankruptcy. So this again is not always recommended, but it's a last resort. So if this is something that you need to do, everyone is in a different situation, but I would highly encourage you to reach out to a financial advisor to see what works best for you. So here are some ways that you can choose the right debt solution. So debt consolidation is suitable for those with a decent credit score and a budget that allows for monthly consolidation repayments. Consumer proposals are ideal for those with less than $250,000 in unsecured debt, or who need more time or a plan to pay back their debts, whereas a personal bankruptcy is an option for those who owe at least $1,000 in unsecured debts and are unable to pay their debts as they come due. Taxes and benefits of taxes. So drawing from the wisdom of the TP teaching, this section emphasizes the importance of protecting and nurturing our financial environments, akin to the stewardship of the earth. Emphasized by Kwatsinas of the Nuxalk Nation, we explore how responsible tax management can safeguard our financial journey and benefit future generations. Now, I may have butchered that pronunciation, so please excuse me for that. So requirements. You don't have to apply for the benefits and credits of taxes every year, but you must do your taxes on time every year. So while you don't have to apply for the benefits, you still have to submit your income for your taxes. You also have to keep your personal information up to date with the CRA, as well as keeping your supporting documents. So if you're filing information for your taxes that are big amounts that may be audited, you need to make sure that you keep your receipts for that. And then also signing up for direct deposit. So that's if you owe any money at the end of your tax return, or if you are owed money, that transfer is seamless. Filing your tax return. So gathering your documents will consist of collecting tax information slips. So whether that's a T3, T4, T5A, or T5, as well as any receipts for taxable credits. You do have a few options for filing your taxes. So these include NetFile certified tax softwares, tax preparers using eFile, community volunteer tax clinics, paper tax returns, and automated phone lines. So the one that I like using is Intuit. It's easy for me to see, but I know that most people in my household prefer going to H&R Block and getting someone else to do it for them, which is good for them. And then also the deadline. So file tax returns by April 30th of each year to avoid any penalties. So again, in the guidebook that I'll be providing, it'll have all this information as well, where you'll be able to fill out your information. And it does have a checklist as well with all the documents that you need to prepare. So now coming to the end, we're going to do a quick reflection. So nestled in the yellow quadrant of the medicine wheel symbolizes a time of balance and planning. We focus on reimagining credit in the context of Indigenous values and stewardship, aiming to foster a renewed vision of financial health. Summary reflections. So we discussed post-colonial Indigenous economies, credit as an environment, debt and interest rates, taxes and the benefits of them, as well as we had our bear moment reflections. Preparing for our next workshop, we'll be discussing how to apply credit knowledge, continuing exploring debt management, levering tax knowledge, reflecting and planning for your future, as well as engaging with your community. For next steps, I encourage you to review your financial health, set any goals that you have for summer, and stay curious and engaged. In the note, if you have any comments, concerns, or if you just need help starting up a business or don't know what your next step is for managing any debts or building goals, feel free to reach out to us at iesp@futurepreneur.ca. And we'll keep you in the loop and do our best to assist you. You can also sign up for our Indigenous Entrepreneur Startup Program newsletter. It is sent out quarterly. Futurepreneur also offers sample business plans if you're looking to start up a business, as well as financial templates for your cash flow projections with training video tutorials for those. And more resources as well, such as these webinars. Thank you so much for listening to me. I do have a quick video, Hannah, if we have time. It's a 4-minute video. If we don't have time, feel free to let me know, and I'll just share the link with people.
Logan, I think we'll have time for the video.
You do have time?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank
I was trying to speed run it to make sure I didn't go over. Okay, so I will pull that up now. Let me know if we have any issues with the audio.
I can't
Yeah,
hear
I can't
anything
hear
so
anything.
far.
As the land awakens,
There we
we
go.
embrace the
Yeah.
You can
east
hear it now?
quadrant of the
Yep.
Opicuan medicine wheel, where the eagle soars high with the spring's renewal. With the eagle's insight, we grasp the teaching of love, the strength that binds our community and fosters growth in unity. Listen to the history of resilience as we recall past colonial times. They encourage us to adapt, assert our rights, and reclaim our economic sovereignty. From trading routes to digital domains, our communities thrive when blending traditional wisdom with contemporary innovation. As rivers once connected us for trade, now our networks span the globe, guided by ancestral principles still relevant in this digital age. Like streams in a forest, credit weaves through our lives, nourishing our dreams and reflecting on our stewardship. Each choice made in managing our credit sends ripples through our community, impacting more than just numbers. It also shapes our collective future. Good debt lays the foundation for growth, while bad debt hinders progress. Interest rates guide the flow, demanding wise judgment and navigation. Inspired by wisdom from the past, we approach debt and interest carefully, ensuring our financial actions support our path forward. For example, by harnessing tax benefits wisely, we strengthen our community's infrastructure as firmly as the teepee stands against the elements. Like the teepee, our symbol of ultimate protection, effective and long-term tax planning shelters and sustains our people's prosperity. With the support of good credit, we plant the seeds for projects that blossom into sustainable businesses, enriching our land and our legacy. Credit, used with care, cultivates a garden rich with opportunity. Neglected, it can stifle growth, leaving potential unachieved. Knowledge empowers. With each lesson in credit, we light a new path for innovation, growth, and community empowerment. Through responsible credit, we can launch new paths. We can build new businesses that reinvigorate the heartbeat of our community. Together, let's ascend on the wings of knowledge and unity. Let's shape our tomorrow with the eagle's far-reaching vision. We must also remember, like the eagle, we can change direction with carefulness. If your credit score is low, you can make positive adjustments using tools and support that are available, building your credit one step at a time. For guidance on your path, the Indigenous team at Futurepreneur stands ready. Reach out, and together, let's cultivate a future rich in prosperity.
All right, thank you so much. And I will pass it back to Shmira.
All right. Thank you so much, Logan. That was an excellent video and a great summary to bring all the pieces together and remind us of all of the key takeaways from your talk. And now I'm going to hand it over to Rodney Tembo, who will be giving the presentation on behalf of FACE Coalition. And Rodney is going to cover some similar topics to Logan, but with some differences in content. Over to you, Rodney.
Thank you, Shamira. And thanks, Logan, for the presentation. So yeah, just a quick intro. My name is Ryan. I'm the Entrepreneur Relationship Manager for FACE. Been in this role since 2021, and prior to that, I was working with RBC as a financial advisor. So this role has kind of helped me, reach out to different people in the community, and it's been a journey. And so far, I enjoy doing what I do. So as far as the presentation goes, I'll be covering the cost of doing business. And just let me know if, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it's all good.
Yes. Yes.
Cool. All right, so the cost of doing business. Why financial awareness is key. As an entrepreneur, managing your business finances is important as managing your personal finances. So as you'll notice that throughout this slide, we're going to be basically touching upon business and personal aspects of running a business as an entrepreneur. Understanding your income, expenses, debt, and savings will position you for long-term success. This presentation will cover income management, cost of doing business, planning for everyday expenses and savings, and managing debt effectively. Managing and understanding income. So these are some of the basic or general terms that you might hear or basically come into knowledge of as you're managing your business or starting up as an entrepreneur. Business revenue being one, all the money from sales or services. Personal income, pay yourself a salary from your business revenue. Type of business income. Listed below here, we're looking at product sales. So basically what generates revenue for your business, depending on what you do. For example, service-based income, consulting, freelancing, recurring revenue, subscriptions, retaining fees. Key point, keep personal and business finances separate. Use a portion of business revenue for reinvestment and growth. So as I guess a rule of thumb as you're starting out to be an entrepreneur, it's always important to keep, especially with the last point, keeping the personal and business finances separately just gives you, for one, it makes things easier to be able to account for certain item lists. And even better, if you do have an accountant, it essentially just makes the job a little bit easier. But certainly, I would say rule of thumb to keep your personal and business finances separate throughout the journey of your entrepreneurship. Understanding the cost of doing business. So here we have fixed costs, basically irregular, consistent costs you must pay regardless of sales or activity. And then we have variable costs, costs that change depending on business activity. So an example, if we're looking at a fixed cost, rent, loan payments, as Logan basically divulged in his presentation. And then you have variable costs. So variable costs, if you're running a restaurant or bakery, depending on the time of the season, there's certain ingredients that you might need depending on the time of the season. So those costs do tend to fluctuate throughout the year. Action point: tracking these costs regularly to keep your business under control. So one thing a software that you can actually use would be QuickBooks. There is a subscription that you need to pay on a monthly basis for it, but QuickBooks basically helps you keep track of your expenses, revenues, or any business-related activities that you're doing. How to navigate business costs. Budgeting, creating a budget that covers all fixed and variable costs. Break-even point. Know how much revenue you need to cover all your costs. Cash flow management. Make sure cash coming in covers your expenses, especially during low sales periods. Plan for the unexpected. This is really important here. Regardless of the business that you are operating, or as you're starting out as an entrepreneur, keeping an emergency fund for unexpected expenses is key. You just don't want to put yourself in a position to where you're not able to operate your business because something significant has happened. Although there are some minor things that you can that do happen, and you're able to still operate your business as well. But one rule of thumb, as I speak with many entrepreneurs through my job, is to ensure that you plan for unexpected expenses, because at the end of the day, as once you do get that loan, you're signing an agreement that says no matter no matter what, you will be making your payments in time. Managing your everyday life expenses. Personal budget would be one. After paying yourself a salary from business income, create a personal budget for everyday expenses like rent, food, and utilities. Working for RBC in my previous employment, RBC has I guess it's some sort of spreadsheet. So the spreadsheet allows you to input all your daily expenses, rent, food, miscellaneous, money that you're spending, and versus the money that you're bringing in. So this gives you an idea on a month-to-month basis exactly what you're spending in, what you're bringing in, and what you're putting out, even through the RBC app as well. Not to talk about the other competitor, but they do have a spending budget alert. So the more you spend um, on your card, on your debit card, it'll basically alert you. For this month you're overspending over your limit. Of course, you can set how much you want to spend and when you want to get an alert. So to continue, separate accounts, keep personal business and personal finances separate. If you are starting out as a sole proprietor, uh, sometimes, ideally, you're putting together your business activity and personal activity all together in one. But if possible, it's always good to ensure that, like I said, QuickBooks would be one to ensure that you're keeping track of all your business expenses. Living within your means. Don't overspend personally if your business is going through a growth phase or has inconsistent revenue. So this typically would happen within the first life cycle of the business, as the first 2 to 3 years. That essentially will determine whether your business will be successful or not. But it's always good to keep in mind that during this growth phase, the first 2 to 3 years, you want to watch your spending. If there's any inconsistent revenue, you want to find alternative, for example, seasonal businesses. You want to find alternative ways to generate income or revenue for your business during the slow periods of the year. Regular review, monitor your personal finances monthly to ensure you're not overspending. A good way to do it would be a good way to do this is to meet with a financial advisor on a monthly. It all depends on what they recommend, but usually maybe every 6 months or every 4 months, just to ensure that you're on track. Especially if you're saving for a big investment such as education, a vehicle, or a mortgage. Building a financial safety net. Business savings. Set aside a portion of profits for reinvestment and growth opportunities. As you are operating a business, you just never know which opportunities might come by, and it's always too good to just have some sort of safety net for you to be able to invest into for that opportunity whenever it comes by. Personal savings, pay yourself and save a portion that for future goals, for future personal goals such as retirement, large purchases, home, vehicle. Personal savings is key, especially if you want to share, you want to have the things you want in life. So it's always good to be on a budget and try to save whatever you can, especially if you have any surplus income left over after all your expenses are paid. Emergency fund, have at least 3 to 6 months. This is also one rule of thumb I've learned throughout not my career. 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved for both business and personal emergencies to ensure that you're able to continue to operate your business. And as well, for personal emergencies, you might be seasonally employed. So it's always good to at least have some sort of emergency fund in case you need to use that. Investments, consider investing a portion of personal savings to grow wealth for the future. So you do have financial institutions, with financial advisors, financial planners who are able to give you a guide or plan with you along the way as you are investing towards your retirement or any other investments you are considering to do. Managing and paying down debt. So key items here, we have business debt, such as loans for equipment, operations, or business expansions, personal debt, credit card debt, mortgages, or student loans. Debt repayment strategies as follows. There's the snowball method, paying off a small debt first, then roll that payment for that loan you just paid off into the next debt. So you're paying over and above the required payment, which allows you to pay off the debt faster. The second method would be an avalanche method, pay off debt with the highest interest. Pay off the debt with the highest interest rate first. So typically, if you're looking at credit cards, those tend, on average, have the highest interest rates. So you want to tackle that first and pay it down, and then focus on other low interest rate products. On average, personal line of credits or home line of credits, those usually have a much, much lower interest rate versus credit cards. Avoiding bad debt. Take on debt that helps your business grow. Avoiding high interest consumer debt. So, taking on the debt that helps the business grow, such as investing in equipment, assets that will essentially help the business generate money, would be key to avoiding bad debt. Of course, avoiding high interest consumer debts, as Logan pointed out, they are those financial institutions that do charge 26 to 49% interest rates. Although, it is situational to why somebody would want to go to those financial institutions. But however, if you can avoid that, please do so. Debt and credit management. Regular review your credit score and ensure timely payments to avoid penalties. So now you do have apps that you can do a soft credit check that won't impact your credit score. So this will allow you to, see where you are with your credit score. Is it going up? Is it going down? And it also gives you a detailed breakdown as far as even sending you alerts. You have a missed payment, or you have a missed payment. Your credit score is going up. See why. So typically, if you are, making your payments in time, you get those notifications. If you do miss payments as well, these apps will help you essentially manage your credit, especially if you're looking to, especially if you're looking to apply for or finance, and ensure timely payments to avoid penalties. Goes without saying. So, especially if you are to get a loan or even credit cards or revolving credit, you want to ensure you make your payments in time. One, it does help you, pay the debt down faster. And two, you're not having to pay any interest fees or any additional fees, which really just slows the process in paying down that debt that you've borrowed. Balancing your business and personal financial goals. So some key points here. Balance business growth and personal financial health. Ensure that while you're reinvesting in your business, you're still meeting your personal financial goals. Key practices. I think I've said this maybe 3 or 4 times. Keeping separate accounts and budget for your business and personal. Plan for taxes. Set aside money to pay taxes regularly. So if you are, an entrepreneur, regardless of how your business is set up as a sole proprietor, partnership, incorporated, it's always to ensure anytime you are collecting GST or HST, to put that on the side to ensure that you pay your remittance on time. Even for personal taxes as well. As you're receiving your employment income, depending on where you are or how much you earn, you might be expected to pay once your taxes are done. There are ways to reduce how much you pay. If you're earning a high income, there are ways to reduce how much taxes you'll be paying when you file them. But that'll be a conversation you can have either with your accountant or a financial advisor. Ensure your business cash flow allows for regular salary withdrawals. By doing so, that if you're able to do this, it shows that it could be one, you're able to manage your expenses. You're operating your business efficiently to where you're able to do a salary withdrawal, whether it be monthly or quarterly or annually. Key takeaways for financial success. So understanding your income, track both business revenue and personal income separately. Manage your business costs, know your fixed and variable costs, and control them. Control them with budgeting. Plan for the future, save for both personal emergencies and business growth. Debt management, pay down high interest at first and use credit wisely. And lastly, balance growth and financial stability. Reinvest wisely while maintaining personal financial health. So that would be it for my presentation. And back to you, Shamar.
Okay, thank you very much, Rodney. And I think you did a really good job with those key takeaways. I was making notes from both presentations as well. And so there's going to be a little bit of overlap between what you've just done and what I'm about to do, but can't drill these points home more. It's so important to keep these in mind. If there's nothing that you remember from tonight, these are some of the things you should keep in mind. Protect your credit. Your credit score is important, and keep in mind that especially if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you plan to be an entrepreneur, in those early days of your business, your personal credit has a huge impact on your business, the credit that is available to your business. For both entrepreneurs and those who are not planning to start a business, it's important to track your money, know what's going out using a budget. For entrepreneurs, it's also important to keep those personal and business finances separate. So Rodney, you've said it probably 4 or 5 times, so I'm going to say it again. Keep them separate is so important, and that's part of good criteria, which I really liked it. Is it necessary? Is it vital? Can it wait? And is there an acceptable alternative? Savings are very important. It's individual and also for your 6 months of expenses saved and future goals, like things like retirement or the down payment on a home, or even if you're not yet an entrepreneur, if you want to start a business, the savings are important too to reach that goal so that you have some money to invest in your business early on. And then third, savings to reinvest in your business. Avoid taking all the money out of your business. Make sure some money stays in the business and is there for the business's different methods, snowballing, pay off the smallest debt first, and then roll those payments interest rate makes a difference. It is the cost of borrowing. Interest rate versus $1,000 at a 29.9% interest rate, there's a huge difference. So you want to get rid of the high interest debt as quickly as you can. And taxes are important. You want to make sure that you're filing your returns every year and that you're paying your taxes on I've missed in that summary?
No, I think you
Yeah, I
will.
think you touched up on all of them.
Okay. All right. So thank you, everyone. I don't remember if we have time for a few clarifying questions. Hannah, do we have time?
Yeah, if anybody wants to put any questions into the chat, they can. We're just unable to unmute people, so they can only use the chat function right now for questions. So if you have any questions, you can add those in.